कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। राधा माधव जय कुंज जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रतचंद्रंजन। जय यशोदानंदन जय यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय कुंज बिहारी। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय कुंज बिहारी। नचारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे जय विष्णुपाद परब्रह्मचार्य श्रोत्र श्री श्रीमद श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद श्री अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, रमाई की जय, रमाई की जय, भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय, संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। Thy God of Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri. So reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, titled New Jagannath Puri. Mukunda and Hayagriva exchanged anxious glances, but tolerated the boy, unsure what else to do. Some of the devotees were disturbed and even frightened, but they had also heard Swamiji say in recent lectures that advanced devotees aren't shaken in any circumstance. Swamiji was their leader, not only in devotional prayers, but also in how to respond to this intruder. So they waited and watched him for a sign. Prabhupada remained undisturbed, but although after 20 minutes, the kirtan was strong and determined, the blonde boy's madness was not going away. As the chanting built up momentum, he became more agitated. He screamed like a lost soul and hollered like a rock singer. He was becoming more and more troubled and angry. When the devotees rose to their feet and began dancing, the boy began dancing too, but in his own way, crying and pounding his chest. Mukunda played louder on the drum. The sounds were discordant, a clash of individual madness and group chanting, until Prabhupada finally brought the kirtan to a close. The devotees bowed their heads to the floor and Srila Prabhupada intoned the Sanskrit prayers, honoring the spiritual masters, Supreme Lord, in the sacred places. All glories to the assembled devotees, he said. They responded, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhupada said. And then, as was his morning custom, he announced, chant one round. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 78. The chapter is entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachina Bharati. So please repeat. Yadakshais Charitan Dhyayan Karmanya Achinute Sakrit Sati Karmanya Avidhyayam Bandha Karmanya Anatmana Yadakshe Charitan Dhyayan Karmanya Chinute Sakre Sati Karmanya Vidhyayam Bandha Karmanya Natmana Yadakshe Charitan Dhyayan Karmanya Chinute Sakre Sati Karmanya Vidhyaya Bandha Karmanya Natmano Yadakshe Charitan Dhyayan Karmanya Chinute Sakre सति कर्माणि विद्याया बंध कर्माण्यनात्मनो यदाक्षे शरतन्ध्याय कर्माण्याचिनुते सक्रे बंध कर्माण्यनात्मनो यदाक्षे शरतन्ध्याय कर्माण्याचिनुते सक्रे सति कर्माणि विद्यायाम् बंध कर्माणि अनात्मनो यदाक्षे शरतन्ध्यायन् कर्माणि अचिनुते सक्रे सति कर्माणि विद्यायाम् बंध कर्माणि अनात्मनो माताजी यदाक्षे शरतन्ध्यायन् कर्माण्याचिनुते सक्रे सति कर्माणि विद्याय बंधन कर्माणि अनात्मनो. Please repeat the word for word. Yada, when, akshay, by the senses, charitan, pleasures enjoyed, dhyayan, thinking of, karmani, activities, achinute, performs, asakrit, always, sati karmani, when material affairs continue, avidhyayam, under illusion, bandha, bondage, karmani, inactivity, anatmana, of the material body. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. As long as we desire to enjoy sense gratification, we create material activities. When the living entity acts in the material field, he enjoys the senses. And while enjoying the senses, he creates another series of material activities. In this way, the living entity becomes entrapped as a conditioned soul. Purport. While in the subtle body, we create many plans to enjoy sense gratification. These plans are recorded in the spool of one's mind, known as bija, the root or fruit of activities. In conditioned life, the living entity creates a series of bodies, one after another, and this is called karma bandhana. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, yajnahartat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhana. If we act only for the satisfaction of Vishnu, there is no bondage due to material activity. But if we act otherwise, we become entrapped by one material activity after another. Under these circumstances, it is to be supposed that by thinking, feeling, and willing, we are creating a series of future material bodies. In the words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, anadi karma phale padi bhavarnava jale. The living entity falls into the ocean of karma bandhana as a result of past material activities. Instead of plunging oneself into the ocean of material activity, one should accept material activity only to maintain body and soul together. The rest of one time should be devoted to engaging in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can attain relief from the reaction to material activity. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bodhale Rupagadhamaya Dadati Sapitam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shivatapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Raghunatanvitam Tam Siddhivam Sadvaitam Sarvadotam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saharana Lalita Shiv Shakanyatam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Visheshakti Bhati Bharta Jadekshita Makam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giram Yakratat Muhammad Shri Guru Dinataya Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada Yasya Prasada Nakati Pito Vidhyayam Stuvam Stacha Yasyastri Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Karinada. I'll read the translation again. As long as we desire to enjoy sense gratification, we create material activities. When the living entity acts in the material field, he enjoys the senses. And while enjoying the senses, he creates yet another series of material activities. In this way, the living entity becomes entrapped as a conditioned soul. So we understand from the purport of Srila Prabhupada, we understand that the subtle body consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So we realize there's three parts to this human body: the gross body, the subtle body, and the soul who inhabits the body. So the gross body is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The subtle body, whereas, is made of intelligence, mind, and false ego. And the soul is known as a pure spiritual part and parcel of Krishna. So Prabhupada says in the purport, it is to be supposed that by thinking, feeling, and willing, we are creating a series of future material bodies. We understand that thinking, feeling, and willing are actions of the mind. Our mind makes us think of different things. The mind makes us feel different things. And when we give in to the mind's demands, it gives us the willingness to continue what we're doing. So this action of the mind, this pleasing the mind by thinking, is known as a subtle sense of enjoyment. And there are many examples we can see of subtle sense of enjoyment, like different philosophies we hear, or something nice is heard. Or when we get some pleasure from thinking of different things. We think, what if in the future, what if I have different people in my life? What if I have this? What if I have that? And we think of the past. What if I did this? Would different people be there? Would I be more happy? I wish I did this in the past. So these are all different types of subtle sense enjoyment. And because of this sense enjoyment, subtle or gross, we get future material bodies. We're given to the demands of the senses, and thus we engage in material activities. And Krishna realizes, oh, he's thinking of so many things. He's thinking, what if I do this? What if I do that? He harbors so many desires. So Krishna, as the loving father, he says, okay, you still want to stay here away from me? That is okay. I'll give you many different bodies. You continue your desires and you fulfill your desires. And all that Krishna does is give us these future material bodies in hope that we will realize that this sense enjoyment is futile. See, the world's biggest lie, the lie that permeates every corner of this world from time immemorial, the lie that everyone knows, everyone, regardless of age, gender, or race, knows this lie. And this lie is so great that even if it's brought to the forefront, to the attention of the world, no one will believe this lie. And this biggest lie is that material wealth, material achievements, material relationships, anything material, material sense enjoyment, material positions, the biggest lie is that they will all bring happiness and pleasure. And this is all a lie. Why is it a lie? Because we are in this material world because we are bahirmukha. We looked away from Krishna. We were envious of Krishna. We thought, why should Krishna enjoy? Why should Krishna be the center of pleasure? Why should Krishna be the central enjoyer? Why should everyone serve Krishna? Why not everyone serve me? Why not I feel the happiness Krishna is feeling? And so Krishna is the father. He says, okay, you want to enjoy separate from me? That is okay. You can have this material world, my maya dharatya. This is my material world. And you stay here and you enjoy until you realize that this is not your eternal position. And so every step of life, Krishna reminds us that we are anandamaya abhyasat, Vedanta Sutra says. We are pleasure-seeking particles. We all desire to enjoy something. We all want happiness. Who doesn't want happiness? Who doesn't want pleasure? Who doesn't want to be always happy? So Krishna tells us that we are Satchit Ananda Vigraha. We are part and parcel of Krishna as sons of God. And therefore, Krishna is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Sat meaning eternal, Chit meaning all knowledgeable, and Ananda meaning all blissful. Then we as his sons also are eternal. We are also all knowledgeable. We're also all blissful. So we're all blissful. We're all looking for some sort of pleasure, but this material world won't give us that pleasure. Momentarily, we may seem that we get that pleasure, but soon it runs short. Soon the pleasure becomes bitterness. Soon we can't find that same pleasure we once saw in that pleasure. And so we have to introspect in our lives and see that prior to Krishna consciousness, or maybe during Krishna consciousness, we all feel something missing in activities. Material activities, we see that we're not getting the full enjoyment, the full pleasure, the full reciprocation out of it. And that is Krishna's reminder that don't go to material activities. Come to me. Krishna's Rasaraj is the embodiment of all rasa. He's Rama. Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. He can give all pleasure. Why should you go to material activities? Why should you look in material relationships for different pleasures when Krishna, who's the Supreme Father, can give everything? This is exactly like a thirsty man. This thirsty man is dehydrated. He requires a glass of water. Where now stupidity, for looking a glass of water, we go to the desert to find water. Does that make sense, going to a desert to find water? All you can find in the desert is maximum one drop of water. We're looking for a glass of water and all we find is one drop of water. And we don't turn around to see Krishna's reservoir of water behind. Krishna's reservoir is an ocean with no shores. It is all waiting for us, but it's just behind us. But why do we not look? Why do we not ask the question, why? Why are we suffering? Who am I? I want to be happy. Why are these tribulations put upon me? Who asked the question, why? Why don't we ask the question, why? Because Srila Prabhupada states in the purport, karma bandhana. A living entity creates a series of body one after another. This is called karma bandhana. We are all entrapped by our different activities, by the results of a karma. And even Lord Brahma says, Yastinda Gopa Matavendra Mahosra Karma, Bandhanurupam Phalabhajana Matanoti, Karmani Nirdhati Kintu Jabakti Bhajam, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to the roots of all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one activities. Of all those who walk in the path of work in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa than in that of Indra, the king of Devas. So from Indragopa, the ant, the king of Indra, who is the Lord of heaven. From the ant to Indra, Everyone is suffering the reactions of his karma. Everyone is getting the good deeds and the bad deeds he has performed. And it thus is a repeated cycle. As it says here, when the living entity acts in the material field, he enjoys the senses. By enjoying the senses, we get good and bad deeds. And while enjoying the senses, he creates another series of material activity. Because by doing those good and bad deeds, we get the reaction of those good and bad deeds. And thus, to get those reactions, we get a new material body. And thus, the living entity becomes entrapped as a conditioned soul. So, Srila Prabhupada, he sees the problem in this purport. He analyzes the problem. He says the problem is the cycle of future bodies. He says in conditioned life, the living entity creates a series of bodies one after another. And Prabhupada not only sees the problem, he goes to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is to be supposed that by thinking, feeling, and willing, we are creating a series of future material. So in essence, the root of the problem is to do with the mind of thinking, feeling, and willing. Prabhupada not only identifies the root and the problem, but he also identifies the solution. And Srila Prabhupada says, instead of plunging oneself in the ocean of material activity, one should accept material activity only to maintain body and soul together. The rest of one's time should be devoted to be engaging in the service, the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can attain relief from the reactions of material activity. So Prabhupada gives the solution in a way that we have to naturally control the mind. Because by only engaging in material activity to keep one's body and soul together, that forces the mind not to think, what more can I get? And to solidify that thinking of what more I can get, we utilize the mind, the senses, all our sensory organs, in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Because by engaging in the loving service of the Lord, naturally our senses become subdued. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. By engaging our senses in the service of the Lord and the proprietor of the senses, Lord Krishna, one's senses become subdued. And so different practical tips are given by different acharyas on how we can maintain our body and soul, but the rest of the time engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, he states to all his Grahastha disciples that one should chant 64 rounds the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. But we know in this day and age that is not possible. Chanting 64 rounds should at least take at least 8 hours or so of your day. 1/3 of your day is spent chanting the holy name. Of course, that is nice, but also it's not practical in this day and age. So Srila Prabhupada is his disciple. He takes the essence of what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said. And out of his kindness, Prabhupada says, okay, I understand. We don't have the attention span these days. We don't have the time these days. So Srila Prabhupada says, at least, please, chant just 16 rounds. Just 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra. And rest of the time, engage in yourself in some service of the Lord. Whether that be addressing the deities, doing arti, preparing bhoga, honoring prasad, chanting Hare Krishna, distributing books, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, cleaning the temple, some sort of service that you're automatically connected to Krishna. Sometimes personally when I'm studying or when I'm doing something, I like to play a little kirtan in the background. Or when I'm going in the taxi or in the car, I like to hear some lecture of Srila Prabhupada or Prabhupada's disciple. In some way, Krishna's holy name or Krishna's glory should be vibrated throughout the room. Always we should be in some sort of way connected to Krishna. At least in the most worst case scenario, we have to force ourselves to remember Krishna if we cannot have an external source to help us remember Krishna. So all we need to do is just to serve. All we have to do is in some way or another connect ourselves to Krishna and serve Krishna in some way or another. And the basis of that service is attraction to Krishna. We cannot serve anyone without some sort of attraction to them. We cannot serve anyone without having some pleasure from them back. So that basis of Krishna consciousness, that basis of our whole devotional life, our whole spiritual life, is the basis of our attraction to Krishna. But the question is, why not become attracted to Krishna? Krishna, his own name, Krishna, means all attractive. Why not should we be attracted to Krishna? Why not should we remember Krishna's beautiful lotus face, which is blue, just like the storm, the fresh monsoon cloud? Why not be attracted to Krishna's pastimes with the cowherd boys as they frolic in the groves of Sri Vrindavan, as they take the cows to the pasturing grounds? You can see Krishna and Balaram running in the fields with all the different cowherd boys running after them, playing their different trumpets, their different sticks, and calling out the names of their calves. Why not become attracted to Krishna in his dealings with the gopis or the residents of Vrindavan? Why not be attracted to Krishna's holy dham? Why not be attracted to Srila Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu's dealings with the devotees? Why not be attracted to the sweet names of the holy name of the Lord, the chanting of the holy name? Why not be attracted to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness? This whole Krishna consciousness movement is all attractive because it imbibes devotional service, which is non-different from the Supreme Lord. Why not honor prasad? Who can say the prasad is not tasty? Who can say kirtan is not enjoyable? Who say that you don't get pleasure from kirtan or honoring prasad or even hearing about Krishna Katha? Without some sort of small attraction for Krishna, there is no impetus of service. We don't have the desire to serve. We don't have any attraction. And without service, there is no love. And we are spirit souls. We are Nitya Krishna's, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Shabda Kabinai. In all of us, there is a dormant love for Krishna. Without developing the love for Krishna, one will not be satisfied in this material world. This is said that the depth of any relationship is directly proportional to the amount of selfless service put in. So what to speak of ordinary relationships in relationship to the Supreme Lord Krishna? Imagine how much selfless service is needed. So selfless service is given as ahitaki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. Anyabhilashatasunyam jnanakarmadya navritam anukulyena krishnanul shinam bhaktirattamam. Without karma, without jnana, without impersonalism, without anything, just serve Krishna. Give your all to Krishna. And by such pure devotion to Krishna, Krishna becomes captured. It's said in Nectar Devotion, an aspect of Krishna consciousness, an aspect of pure devotional service is Shri Krishna Akarshani. One catches Krishna. This is given by the topmost example of Srimati Yashodamani. By a selfless service to Krishna, one after another, she keeps binding Krishna over and over and over again until she's completely tired. Then Krishna becomes purchased by her. And if we have Krishna, if we surrender to Krishna, we have Krishna, we become fully satisfied. Just like an example is given of this boy, whose father is the richest man in the world. But this boy, he decides, I don't want to be with my father. So he stays as a bum on the street. He's a drunkard, he's a druggie, like on Queen Street. And so the guru, spiritual master, he comes to the boy and says, I know your father. Come with me, I'll bring you to the father. Your father can give you everything and anything you want in this world. You don't have to lift a finger. He's the richest man, he can give you everything. But we say no, we don't want to go back. But we don't know, but our father, he can give us everything. Everything in this world is controlled and owned by the Lord. Everything in this world is controlled and owned by the Lord, and he can give and he can take. So once we have Krishna, we can be fully satisfied with Krishna. Don't think that Krishna is impersonal. Krishna is a person. Once we have Krishna, we can talk with Krishna. We can go on picnic with Krishna in Vrindavan Dham. We can cook for Krishna. We can engage with Krishna physically. All this is possible. Don't think for a second that this is not possible, because Krishna will do that. And Krishna has promised through his pure devotee, through Srila Prabhupada, that Krishna will do that. And once we have Krishna, what is the point of this insignificant, subtle sense enjoyment? What is the point of enjoying our senses? What is the point of enjoying separate from Krishna? Because once there's no more sense enjoyment, immediately this karma bandhana, immediately this process of getting future bodies in this life, immediately it stops. But the only way to stop it is love. Everyone says love is the most powerful force in this world. And Srila Prabhupada teaches us by this ISKCON movement. So we may be inspired to be attracted to Krishna. Of course, we should be inspired to be attracted to Krishna, but of course, Srila Prabhupada says first deserve, then desire. We can't jump up to the highest stage right then. But first deserve, then desire. And the only way we know we deserve is when a desire is so big that vivasayikatma buddhi ekahe karanandana. One-pointed intelligence, only that desire to serve Krishna. Once we develop that desire, then we know we deserve. But all this is, you could say, some sort of philosophy. It's not practical. We may be inspired to do it now, but the moment we walk out these doors, we may not be inspired too much because Maya catches hold of us. So we realize that we can't do it alone. We can't endeavor in Krishna consciousness alone. We can't become attracted to Krishna alone. We cannot stop sense gratification alone. And for that, we need the mercy of the Vaishnavas and Sri Guru. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Jogeta vichar kichunai pai tomara karuna shar, karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya, prana na rakhi bhavar. When I examine myself, I find nothing of value. Your mercy is therefore essential to me. If you are not merciful, I will constantly weep. I will not maintain my life any longer. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in different places, he says, Ekaki amar nahi paya bol hari namo sankirtan, tumi kripa kore shraddha bindu diya Krishna nam dana pranam. And he also says, Krishna se tamar Krishna dite par tomar sakati ache. Amitokma Gangal, Krishna Krishna boli, Dai Dava Pache Pache. Alone, I find no strength in chanting the holy name of the Lord. How can we say we have strength to chant the holy name of the Lord alone? So even chanting the holy name of the Lord, we require the strength of the Vaishnavas and spiritual masters. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I beg you therefore, please be merciful, and with a particle of faith, give me the great treasure of the holy name of the Lord. Krishna is yours. You are able to give him to me, for such is your power. I am indeed wretched and simply run after you crying, Krishna, Krishna. So by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, by the mercy of Sri Guru, we can stay on this path of this institution Srila Prabhupada has given us, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And thus, all we have to do is try our best to engage ourselves in some service, in some way stay connected to Krishna. Just take that one step to Krishna, and Krishna will take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 steps towards you. Just endeavor, just a small endeavor. Just try to always connect yourself with Krishna in some way or another. It's always possible to connect yourself in some way or another to Krishna. And slowly by this, just a small endeavor of trying to connect yourself with Krishna, it will have what is called a snowball effect. Like how in a mountain, the small bits of snow fall and slowly, slowly, slowly a giant snowball comes. Slowly, by just starting this small endeavor of connecting yourself with Krishna, you will get the greatest benefit of capturing Krishna yourself. Capture Krishna, all your senses become subdued. There's no point of sense enjoyment. No point of, Prabhupada says in the purport, creating many plans to enjoy sense gratification. And if we're not creating any plans, then there's no more future material bodies. The cycle of repeated birth and death is cut off. And therefore, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, by the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Vaishnavas, one can go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. This is promised by Srila Prabhupada. And it will happen. All we have to do is follow Srila. So I'll end my class here. Thank you very much. If there's any questions or comments. Kandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Dai Gaur Vrinda. Samaveda Bhakti.